Hi everyone, today I will be showing you how I paint using gouache. It is a tricky medium in my opinion, and I figured I would share my limited knowledge with you, so let's get started. I'm using the Arrtx Jelly gouache set. I don't know if it really matters which ones you use. This one wasn't very expensive where I live, but I've used the cheapest versions in the past. And I'm using this Princeton round number 6 brush for most of the painting and the Princeton round 2 for the smallest details. And be sure to subscribe to see more like this, and let us begin. To start, I sketched out a general idea of my reference photo. It isn't exact to it, but I wanted to focus more on the painting than the sketch. I'm not great at sketching, so next I used some gouache paint that was dry on my palette. I basically used it as watercolor to lay down a base tone, since even though this reference girl is pretty pale, the true values of the pale tones are still much darker than white. So laying this watercolorish layer down helps a lot with me not freaking out over how dark the paint ends up drying. Unlike with oil portraits, I start at random place with these jelly paints. The truth is, you don't know what color the paint will be until it's dried on the paper with gouache. I start off by mixing a skin tone I perceive as generally close to the overall tone. I'll use white, red, and yellow, and maybe a little bit of blue to cool the tone down, and then I'll lay that color wherever I think it best matches the painting. So it could be the forehead, the cheek. It's kind of unpredictable using this medium, and it also dries quickly, especially on the palette, and the more you re-wet it on the palette, the less it is like its originally creamy texture. So I find that by moving all around the painting with whatever color I'm able to mix, I kind of take the pressure off myself to lay the perfect color down in all the perfect places. And I try to place the color I've mixed in as many places I can before it dries and loses that great texture, because I won't be able to return to a color that directly matches it. If you want to hear me talk a lot about skin tones and color values, the same properties apply to painting in general. So you can see my tutorial on how to paint eyes, noses, and lips with oil paint. In that video, I talk all about colors, but here I'll give you what I did in general. So I do that standard red, yellow, white mixture, a little blue, focusing on darkening a more red or blue tone for the under eyes and laying redder colors on the ears and the nose and the cheeks. The forehead is more standard pale orange tones, but depending on shadows, I might put in some purples or reds, and around the eyes it's pretty red and purpley as well. And on dark skin tones, I can use the base tone of a dark brown and mix it with black or red or maybe ochre or a bit of purple. For the eyes, they are definitely something I build more on, so I'll sometimes put the eye color down just to get the idea, and then lay down a white that has a bit of yellow or blue in it for the eye whites. Then I'll use any reddish or purple hues that have already dried on my palette and just wet the brush enough to take a bit of it for any redness in the eye or add shadow to the eye whites. And if the eyes are dark, I'll lay down black and then add a little half circle or half ring of brown or gray to the lower part of the eye, which acts as the reflection of light. And then I'll let that pure white light stand out on them. I will also follow my reference and see where the skin reflects the light the most. And I do the eyebrows by laying colors down and blending it out in the skin. Eyebrows are challenging for me in any medium, so a lot of gouache is trial and error, honestly. Even the most talented artists with it, which I am not one of those, can have trouble determining how to mix values, because with gouache, if you lay down something that is just barely too dark on top of a lighter area, it's going to show very easily, and vice versa. And by the time it's dried, you're not able to blend it out, unlike with oils. You can try testing the colors you mix on a little paper and letting it dry before you paint, and that might be useful to you. Hair is totally up to you. You can see I did some weird Coraline hairs here. I don't know. But I start with midtones and then add shadows in zigzags, and then tiny highlights that act as the little hairs, so I don't have to be super detailed and specific the entire time. After many layers, at least for me, your painting will start to come together. Maybe you won't have to layer as much as I do, but if you do, don't worry. My paintings are always in the ugly phase until literally the last second when I use this medium, so don't be discouraged, and make sure you don't use super white values on the skin, and that way when you do add little highlights to the nose or eyes or lips or cheeks, It really makes your paintings look so much more lively. Here is the final painting, and here are some pictures, actually all of the portraits I've done in gouache, from my first one at the top left to today. I recommend trying out many skin tones when you are just starting so you don't get locked into one, and you continue expanding your understanding of color theory on all levels. So I hope today's video helped you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.